Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coast-to-Coast Combat Hour. I'm your host, Matthew Hawkins, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host and author, Ed Carbajal. Buy his books on Amazon. Ed, Happy New Year, 2026, UFC 324 around the corner this weekend. How's it going, my friend?
Pretty good, man. I've kept myself busy over the holiday. Working on some stuff for us and for everything we got going, everybody that listens, people that subscribe to the newsletter. I got some stuff brewing to help us all make our picks and stuff like that. I have the Notion thing linked on the podcast all the time here, but I'm trying to make something a little more user friendly that folks can just get their hands on and use on fight night. So I'll probably have that ready for next week's episode. I'll announce it.
And 25. We got back-to-back pay-per-views, so that works out.
Yeah, back-to-back pay-per-views, of which, I know we're going to talk about 324, but I did speak with Therese Finney, who's on 325. That interview's on Spectation Sports for anybody that wants to check it out, because he's on his way to Sydney. They finally got that man out of the Apex. So it's funny. What's up, Antoine? Antoine's literally on the same schedule. I just bought my Paramount subscription 2 days ago. I got the premium version and the features all. I'll be doing that probably once we're done with this. I gotta make sure I do it on time before we get to 324. But I'm glad to be back. Glad to get the year going. Yeah, man. How about you? What's up with the sunny California?
No, it's been nice. Couple weeks, kind of laying low. Didn't really do much. Went to Laker game Sunday night, which was kind of nice to get out and get to a sporting event. But real quick, I want to dive into the Paramount thing a little bit. We weren't really planning on talking about the app, but since Antoine brought it up and you would kind of mentioned it before the show, I have it. I went on it. They started uploading some of the older stuff. And I wonder, like, as of right now, I think it only went back to like UFC 264 or 258 or something like that. And then they have like generations. It's like 2000s, 2010s, and it's like it's more focused on certain fighters. Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, I think, GSP, and some full events are on there, depending on if those guys fought. There's a handful of the, older 76 maybe, or a couple of the older cards on there where Liddell and those guys fought. But I'm kind of curious to what happens now with like Pride. Do our Pride DVDs suddenly become really valuable again because there's no Pride library? Or, it really didn't dawn on it until I kind of was going through the thing, and they haven't added the old UFCs either, which, I don't see how you get into the sport without at least checking out the how it started when it's so readily available. So I wonder what's going to happen to that stuff with Fight Pass basically dissolved, and I wonder what's going to happen to that entire library. It sounds like they're moving, Slap Fight. Everything's going. Basically, everything they have right now is going over to Paramount. So I'm hoping that they just move stuff over there. All that old footage that they had from all their other events. Strike Force, WEC. We forget Affliction. UFC owns basically, all of these rights. So I'm wondering where those will show up, or if there'll just be a major YouTube page where it's even better and it's just for free for everybody. But
you would think that'd be. They could get money off the YouTube revenue on top of all the other money they're making. So it would make sense. But that's a good point, because I know we heard rumors about Fight Pass going away towards the end of last year, and then some people have renewed with Fight Pass, some people didn't. I know LFA is going to be on Vice TV, which is odd for combat sports, considering that Vice is in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, which is very gentrified. So strange. But we'll see what happens, man. Media rights seem to be a really big thing all over when you look at the stuff going on with Warner Brothers, Netflix, the stuff that happened. Well, we on our sport with Paramount and UFC and the boxing and everything they're bringing there. So it's still, we're still in the beginning stages of it. This is the first event. Already a price increase hit depending on when you signed up. I was $119 for the premium, and now it's $139. which is fine. Still, you're still saving money if you compare to the ESPN era of if you're a UFC fan. So it's still it's going to be an interesting time, man. But I for one, and I'm still hopeful. I gotta say, glad you because I was talking with a buddy of mine that I do jiu-jitsu with, and he's an old school cat. He fought some MMA and Muay Thai, and we were talking about this whole thing just at the beginning of the year. It was like our New Year's Day training we did together, and I hadn't seen him in a while. Shout out to Chris Howard. That's the guy I'm talking about. But we were talking about it, and the first thing he said to me was like, "Man," he's like, "it's expensive. Those pay-per-views are getting expensive and blah blah blah." But then he's like, "I pay one time for the year, and then he's like, and I get some TV shows and movies for the whole year too, on top of the fights and pay-per-views I want to see. I'll do that all day." That's exactly what he told me, and I was just like, "You know what? That's a really easy thing to sign up for." So.
It's it. Like, there's no real price that's too high. Like, I mean, yeah, obviously, but the fact that if you went from buying all the pay-per-views at $75, $80, whatever it got up to, and nonstop, anything on the app is a major win. I also feel like Paramount gets a little lucky too, because the bar's so low.
Yeah.
I feel like ESPN was so terrible, and the app and everything was just so terrible that as long as they're able to get through a show without it, as long as people can buy the app, they're already ahead of the game. Yeah. It seems like it's going to be pretty good. I know that there's an issue with the delay, which I kind of find amusing, because it kind of fucks with all the gambling shit, which I kind of think is just over the top as in relation to sports nowadays. I have no issue with gambling on anything, but the fact that it's so intertwined with the sports, and when I see the fight cards released, they're putting the fight odds and stuff. It seems like it's such a weird thing, and for that to kind of be an issue, I kind of get a little enjoyment out of. But I don't care if there's a 5-minute delay on it for the cost and everything else. What does it really matter? The only thing it affects is live betting. You know what I mean? And honestly, I don't know. Some of the live betting I've seen seems like it sets up for major corruption and stuff. When odds, odds swing, people throw their money, and then all of a sudden these judges come up with this decision. You're going, it was a last ditch effort from the casino to make up some money on a fight. Let's do that. So I don't know, but I look forward to the Paramount. I look forward to no pay-per-views. I'm curious to see if it changes anything on the look. Do we have different music? Do we have different? It would be nice, right? Like, I would think something fresh and I don't know. We don't need to go back to Face the Pain, but it would certainly be nice to.
I wouldn't mind if that stuck around though.
That's kind of cool for nostalgia, but it'd be nice to see them. I more visually. I'd like to see maybe a different kind of intro or a different kind of. It seems like it's
Ron
always
Perlman narrated intros.
Yeah,
like those?
I didn't dislike them, but they ran their course. Seems like it gets old. Seems like you're repeating yourself. The old, just face interview. I don't know. Seems like it's kind of the same template they've used for 20 years now, and seems like it could be just switched up a little bit. And maybe they will, maybe they won't, maybe they don't care, and it doesn't. Either way, it works out for me with it being on Paramount. But with that said, we kick off this week with their debut event on Saturday, January 24th. We get UFC 324, headlined by your main man, Justin Gaethje, versus the baddie, Paddy Pimblett. We'll get to that fight soon enough because there's a lot to be said about it. But, pretty good fight card. I know it took some hits. We lost the Nunes-Harrison co-main event, which is highly disappointing, and
that doesn't bother me for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe I think I'm the rarity that when because Harrison, I know she had neck surgery, and I was just kind of like, okay, because obviously maybe again I'm Justin Gaethje fanboy, so for me, as long as
for sure. That holds water. If Fedor were fighting, I really could care less about what the rest of the card looked like. I understand that, but it's from an MMA fan's perspective, that was a major fight. Do we know? I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but it seemed like we had a long period of time where no one talked about that fight. And I wonder how long they've known she was going to have neck surgery. Is what I'm getting at. Because you saw interviews with Dana White where he really was not hyped about that fight. He was basically like reading cue cards. I know you didn't see it probably through Ariel, but Ariel kind of did a breakdown of like, doesn't seem right about it. And I just saw the Twitter.
I don't know. I mean, that's one thing I have to say. I used to zero in on a lot of Dana interviews, but he keeps on doing these weird rando podcasts now that I kind of just somebody wrote. I want to say Nate Wilcox or one of those guys wrote, or maybe it was not Wilcox. It was what's his name, Mindahall wrote a thing about where Dana White doesn't seem interested in his own product anymore.
I saw that too,
and it, he's not pulling that out of his ass. It's kind of apparent. Maybe because the billions upon billions upon billions. We look at Conor McGregor as the best example. The whole Silk Sheets thing. I just finished watching Rocky 3, where Mickey tells Rocky the worst thing that happened to a fighter is you go and get civilized, and it looks like I think when too much money comes into play and too many other people are working under, you guys can handle it. You got it. I'll be at the win, throwing $3,000, $300,000 things on baccarat. You know what I mean? So,
maybe I missed them, but I didn't see. I mean, where was the train? It's really conspiracy, but like I didn't see any interviews with Amanda Nunes. Mm-hmm. I don't remember seeing any interviews. I don't remember seeing any workout footage. I mean, you're talking about the GOAT coming back after a couple of years away. I would think that there would be a little bit of like stuff. Maybe it's out there. Maybe I missed it. And again, I'm not saying anybody's faking an injury by any means. I just wonder if they've known about this injury for the last 2 months, decided to promote the fight because of ticket sales for the last several UFC events in Vegas have been a little bit rough. So I kind of wonder if you just carry that and then, 2 weeks out, you just announce the fight's canceled. You have no replacement.
Yeah.
You have no thought about it. We always hear they have backups for championship fights. Here's another example where clearly there was no backup.
Yeah. And the only other thing that was out there was that Ali, Kayla's manager, he put out there that there was an injury that she kind of had been dealing with for a while, and it just got exacerbated getting ready for the fight camp. Kayla put up her interview, and I know she gets emotional when she can't fight and stuff like that. So I don't know.
I'm not saying she's faking an injury.
No. Yeah,
it sounds like she had the injury. It was pre-existing. So my theory is not far off. Yeah. I mean, all that has to happen is Dana needs to go, hey, have the surgery. We're not going to throw this fight. We're not paying you guys. Not enough tickets sold. We have, I don't know. The gate's not high enough. I mean, I don't trust any. We've already been paid by Paramount. I mean, all of that kind of, I wonder, because there was no hype behind that fight. And it just seemed really strange to me. I expected that if you're going to announce that fight and waste that fight as a co-main event, I would feel like, first of all, I was surprised it was a co-main event on a card where the UFC knows they run into 3 or 4 events a year where they have a struggle to find a main event. So I'm surprised they were wasting that fight as a co.
Yeah. Antoine's asking if any of us have had it. I've actually had a neck injury. I have a really odd, because I still kind of do it too, and I shouldn't, especially at my age, but because I still train. Those are my gis hanging in the back over there. You can't see, I forgot to move them before we're recording. I got my gis drying in the back, but like I still have the bad habit of posting on my head when I'm grappling, and I tweaked my neck pretty bad when I was like blue belt for a while, and then oddly enough, somebody trying to crank a choke. We actually had him on the podcast, Ron Rivers, that was on the podcast that wrote the self-awareness book. He put me in a guillotine and kind of like popped whatever's wrong back in place, and it really hasn't bothered me since. But neck injuries are kind of come with the territory when you do any kind of grappling sport, because especially if you post on your head, which a lot of people kind of tend to do to free up their hands to do other things. So mine hasn't been as bad that it needs surgery. MRIs, you never showed anything too bad that when I've gotten myself looked at, but those things can come and go. And actually, talking about Ron, he's got a really bad neck injury that he's actually very selective of who he grapples with now because of it. So they're things you can live with, but at the level that she wants to fight at, she probably let it go too long, and that's coming from her manager too. So either way, I mean, the only conspiracy thing I'll share with where I agree with Matt a little bit is that they're like, oh, because they announced this at the beginning of the year, and then they're like, oh, 6-7 months she should be ready to go, and I was like, 6-7 months. So what's in 6-7 months? International Fight Week and the White House card.
That's now you say
Yeah.
that, and so listen. No, not a serious neck injury. I banged it up a little bit with some boxing, which is kind of funny because it was just neck movement and probably getting hit. But but other than that, and I'm not taking away from her injury. I think it's terrible.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine having to go through neck surgery. I think it's probably a nightmare. It's more has to do with the UFC, just in the promotion and and the way it just seems odd. And why would it's your first event on Paramount? I would think you would be pushing it. But again, it was if it's pre-existing, it's one of those things where you're taking a chance anytime you announce a fight. But it just sounds like now hopefully she gets it cleaned up and we get that fight. I wonder if this neck surgery. I would assume you're not fighting for at least 8 months, 9 months. I mean, I feel like that's even generous. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, are they saying 6 or 7 months?
Yeah, we'd have to look
now?
back at like a lot of the people from that their camp. I mentioned Ron. When you look at guys like Weidman and Sterling, I know they both had neck surgeries too, and I don't remember how long they were away before they were able to come back. So it is a head scratcher, but either way, I mean, like again, for some reason, I don't know why. Again, and maybe it's just me being an old man. That fight wasn't something that I was, chomping at the bit for anyway, like you said. With the Fedor thing,
you got another fight. The fight, the whole card from top to bottom solid. There's nothing really to complain about. Her being on the card they didn't flex the ticket prices that much. It's just it's one of those things where I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because I thought it was odd. I thought it was quiet already, and then it was like, okay, it's been quiet, and now they're canceling a fight. So it just kind of rung a bell in my head, like, well, something didn't seem right about that, and obviously they know about it beyond the day they announce it. So the question is, did they know a week? Did they know 2 days? Did they know 2 months? I mean, there's a lot. But with that said, let's get to the card here because the main card is the prelims. You got Nurmagomedov versus Figueiredo, which is shocking that that's a prelim. But that's going back to like 300 when Figueiredo opened the night with Garbrandt. But that's the one leading to the pay-per-view.
And nice and early. Get an hour early main card, which I'm
that's a good point. Is this the one? Is it official now? We got
9 p.m.
All right. That's good to know too. So that's another positive right off the bat, especially for you.
I love it.
Let's kick off this main card. Arnold Allen, 20-3, goes up against John Silva, who was flying high until his last fight. Good fight. I see. Here's the weird thing. Like, I wasn't really a big part of the Silva bandwagon. I thought he was kind of loud, obnoxious, maybe just beating some people up, which is fun to watch. But I kind of picked him to lose, and then he won all his fights. And then I think I picked him to win his last fight, and then he lost. And I'm gonna actually pick Arnold Allen to win this fight. I think. I'm gonna go with him. I think that he's just. I'm curious to see. This is the fight for Silva for me. Is he able to beat a guy who's kind of well rounded? We saw what happened with Diego Lopez. I mean, he got beat up, but it was a good fight. I don't know if Arnold has the durability of Lopez. That'll be a question because Silva's certainly going to bring a fight. But he still just seems like a wild puncher to me. And I know he's got some submissions. But I kind of I feel like he's kind of that wild puncher. And when you have a wild puncher, I feel like it just takes a disciplined fighter who's skilled and they're able to weather the storm. I think Arnold grinds out a decision win here.
Yeah, so I'm picking Silva actually because of I know he lost the last one. I mean, I remember my notes, even though they didn't sync well for whatever reason. But I think because if I remember correctly, Allen's kind of like more of a decision winner, and Silva was picking up a lot of finishes before he picked up that loss. I think he's going to want to come back strong and get that loss as far away from that loss as possible. So I just feel like, especially with all the all the new year, new home and Paramount and all that stuff. I feel like that's going to motivate him. I'm not all into the internet trends of the fighting nerds and all that shit, but I do think he's just gonna want to self correct, and I think he could pull it off here. That doesn't mean I don't think Allen can win. I don't disagree with you, but I just feel like I don't know. I feel like he can pull it off. So I'm picking Silva in this one.
Next fight, Natalia Silva, Thug Rose Namajunas, former champion, former two-time champion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right off the bat, really good fight. Silva replacement for Macy Barber. Here's what I think is interesting about the UFC. A little commentary here is that Dana White comes out and says if Rose wins this fight, she gets a title fight.
Yeah.
I don't know who in the hell else Natalia Silva would have to beat. She's on a 5-fight winning streak with wins over Alexa Grasso. My internet's giving me problems here, so bear with me on my side. But she's basically on a 7-fight win streak against Jessica Andrade, Viviana Araujo, KGB Lee. I mean, I start to wonder how many fights you got to win to get a title shot, or do you just have to be a former champion and go on a 2-fight win streak? You know, I mean, I
didn't even think about it like that. It's a good question because I know, it's been a while. We've been saying it for longer than last year, but like rankings don't matter. Popularity is what matters. And I got more info on that from a couple of other people behind the scenes. And it just seems to be, the case now, especially when you think about a former modeling companies who owns the UFC now. So I'm not surprised by that. But that's kind of the reason why. I'll just give my pick out. That's kind of the reason why. Plus, I just feel like she's faced better competition, and when Rose isn't distracted by anything else, I think she can pull off victories. So, actually, because of all that, I'm picking her to win. Especially if you got a title shot looming, she's probably coming with her game face on.
I'm going to pick her as well. With that said, and it's because she's a big game fighter.
Mm-hmm.
She shows up for the big fights, and so that's why I'll lead with you on that. Perhaps that's why she's 14 or 15 and 7s, because she doesn't show up for all of her fights, but she does show up for the ones that seem to matter. It seems like title fights and stuff. She's had numbers and fights to get there, and if they're offering her a title fight, no, I don't like her chances against Valentina very much, but we'll worry about that when that gets there.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie though, I kind of would like to see Silva win. I think new blood. I think some stuff when you talk about 2026, you talked about Silva being new blood. I think she has some of the intangibles that could make her pretty successful in the UFC if she's able to keep winning. And you're 7-0 right now. I mean, you're a couple wins away from starting to get to rarefied air, and she's an attractive girl and everything, so there's some marketability, and I just think some fresh new blood is always good. I don't think either one of them beats Valentina, but I do think that there's I'd like to see some new blood, but I will pick Rose. If my money's got to go on the line, that's what I'm rolling with.
Yeah. Speaking about money on the line, I'm no odds on these freaking on the what's going on with Paramount. They got a problem with gambling.
I wouldn't mind it. I mean, I know for the show's sake, it's kind of nice having it on there, but I really don't mind losing some of that stuff and actually having to look for it if you really want to gamble, like not just, I don't know.
Yeah, because I guess maybe they're DraftKings. Maybe they're looking for a new partner that they'll probably announce that night or something. But because when we get to the main event, I wanted to look up odds for something, but we'll do that when we get to it. Heavyweight bout, Waldo Cortez Acosta, one of my training partners, actually Dominican cat. They root for each other, so the Dominican fighter, he's all happy about him getting up there against Derek Lewis. I have my picks for my stuff written out, but I'll let you go, Matt, because I like hearing yours first.
This kind of follows the trend of what I just said. Acosta's the newer name. younger fighter in this group. He's on a nice run. He's a heavy puncher. We know what you're getting out of Derek Lewis every time he fights, essentially. And with that said, you're getting a big puncher who's tough and really just not going to give up. I have a hard time in a fight. If you tell me this fight's just going to be a slugfest and no one's going to, if you're telling me it's on his feet, I'm taking Derek Lewis. And I don't know if Acosta has got the skills to wrestle him down and really, hold him down, because other than Cormier and, a handful, a couple others, there really haven't been many who've been able to do that. I'm going to go with Lewis until because until you show me you can take his, nobody's taking his punch, but until you show me you can go in there and take his second best punch, I don't, it's hard for me to pick against Lewis if it's going to be a stand up bang fight.
Yeah. Same here. That's pretty much what I have on my notes here. The only thing I want on the stats here on the UFC.com website, they have Acosta with a height advantage, but Lewis still has an 1 inch height advantage for Acosta and an inch reach advantage for Lewis, which seems to be interesting to me. I don't know why that jumps out at me, but yeah, I'm with you, man. I think if it comes to a slugfest, that just favors Lewis.
But I'd like to see I'd like to see Cortez Acosta win. Honestly, I'd like more. Keep moving him up the ranks. Let's get some new blood up there. Let's get some fresh title fights. That's and especially if he's able to knock out Lewis, because then that puts you in a you have a highlight reel that the number one knockout guy in the UFC history is Derek Lewis. If you're able to finish him, then it's a hell of a notch on the belt. So it'd be interesting.
And what better way to like if you're on a new platform to get new eyeballs on you is to do an upset win on the first event like that. So it'd be good for both Acosta and, like you were talking about with Natalia too. That's it would be nice for them to win. It'd be good for their careers, really.
Yeah. Co-main event with the cancellation, as we previously talked about, is now Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong, however you want to say it. Thought about this one probably more than the other ones as far as trying to figure it out. What O'Malley's got to have massive heights, right? What does it have? Song at 5'6"?
Yeah, 5'11" to 5. He seems taller than 5'11", but yeah, 5'11" because I'm 5'11", and Yadong is 5'8".
Yeah, he's just a lanky 130. Yeah, I think it's a good fight for O'Malley. I think it's a good one to come back off the Davashvili losses. I don't think he has to overly be concerned about takedown attempts out of Song. I think he's just got to avoid a big, a big right hand punch. But other than that, I think O'Malley, this is a good fight for him to be able to use his movement and to kind of go back to the old school, which made him who he is, with just kind of a little bit of flashy stand up, some kicks and stuff. I think he can probably get away with that in this fight.
Yeah.
And get away with it, especially with the length and the reach he's going to have. I think he might be able to play it a little safer with some deep kicks, front, that kind of stuff. Spin kicks, just stuff like that. So I look forward to that because, again, we're starting a fresh new year. I'd like to get back to the fun O'Malley again. If we get the fun fighting O'Malley with kind of the more mature dude, I could really become a fan of the guy. So I'd like to see that, and I think this is a fight for that.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that I've not been a fan of him. It's just the other stuff that I wasn't a fan of. But I've always said when we talk about his fights, all that other stuff kind of overshadows the fact that he's kind of a really good martial artist, and he studies his opponents, and he does try and do different things. And I know I saw something where he kind of got excited that his fight got bumped up the co-main event, which is making him feel better because I know he wasn't too happy about being where he was previously. So I think all that comes together to come out with him pulling off a win against Yadong on this card. So I'm glad they're bumped up the co-main event. To be honest with you, it should be a fun fight.
It's a big fight for O'Malley too, though. You can't really lose this one. You can get away with losing to Davashvili. It can be a terrible matchup. He's your Dennis Hallman to Matt Hughes, but you got to rebound after that. If you don't rebound, then you find there's another loss here. Then you're not going to see him ever in a co-main event perhaps ever again. You know what I mean? So, moving to the main event, Justin Gaethje, Paddy Pimblett. It still says interim. I guess we're interim. It says interim on Tapology. Does it says interim on there as well? So we'll see. I guess Topuria's announced he's kind of coming back, so maybe they're not taking the belt from him. But I mean, I know who you're picking in this fight.
Yeah.
I gotta go with Justin Gaethje in this fight, and I go with it because Pimblett's opponents have been old. Not that Gaethje's a spring chicken, but I feel like he's got more life in him than some of his previous opponents that Pimblett had. I think some guys fought him, unintelligent. I don't think Gaethje really has to worry about that. I think Gaethje's probably just got to avoid getting taken down. Which, you know what I mean? Like Gaethje's an older fighter. We just can't. He's got to avoid getting caught off guard, get taken down, and ended up in some kind of Darce choke or something like that.
Yep.
I think he avoids that. Then go ahead, but yeah, I think probably the same thing.
No, yeah, that's pretty much what I have in my notes. I mean, Gaethje's a battle axe. It's his biggest strength, but it's also his biggest weakness. Because he'll risk it all and get in an entanglement or something. He's shown that his submission defense has been less than stellar with the losses that he's had. I mean, when he's gotten TKO'd or KO'd or whatever, that's because of the first thing I said. But to submit him, and this is where I think Paddy has the edge because Paddy's a submission guy. If you're comparing the two, he's the submission guy in this fight. So he can submit him if he gets to the ground, but the thing about a guy like Justin Gaethje is you have to engage with him, and that's usually the part that hurts the most. So, man, and I know it's an interim title fight. I'd like to see Gaethje, get a belt around his waist that doesn't have an interim on it. That's an actual belt, and I know he'd like that too. But I'm not. That's why I wish the odds were here. So that's what I wanted to bring up with the odds. Actually, I'm gonna look it up because I want to see what I usually use FanDuel when I do my bets. So I'm gonna look up. I want to look up the odds here because I think if you were gonna do Paddy by submission, where's the UFC? Here we go. Let's see more wages. So right now, I mean, this is on FanDuel. Moneyline has Justin Gaethje as the underdog. So Justin Gaethje, he's won more times than not when he's the underdog. That's something to keep in mind. Where is method of victory? Here we go. So Pimblett by submission is plus 140 on FanDuel. The money line for him is minus 245. And then Gaethje by KO TKO is plus 390. I think I would be putting money on Justin Gaethje. I probably will.
If you think he's going to win, that's where your money's got to go.
Yeah.
It sounds like the odds makers think Pimblett's going to submit him if it's only plus 140. Their odds are telling you that the closest odds to a finish.
Yeah.
Maybe unless you what's the decisions? Are the decisions like really close odds, or are they?
Paddy by decision is plus 500. Gaethje by decision plus 550. Gaethje by submission plus 2,700. He ain't trying to submit nobody. That'd be crazy.
I mean, it seems like you could. It seems like you could bet on. I mean, wow, that to go decision is that much? That's surprising.
Mm-hmm.
That's
on FanDuel. I don't know.
I mean, but that's not bad. I mean, if you're going Gaethje, you put some money on him to win by knockout, and then just insure it a little bit with the money to go to decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you think Gaethje's going to win the fight, that seems like a chance to rake it in. Honestly, either way, I'm not raking it in because you're not going to do double bets, but you could cover yourself with that 550 on the back end's nice. I mean, if I'm picking Pimblett, I'm probably picking. I'd lean towards decision over him just being more active and winning on the cards and stealing some rounds would be how I'd lean his direction if I was going to go that route. So interesting. Okay, so again, Paramount this weekend, Saturday, 9 p.m. start time Eastern.
What's Patty's gas like? That's the other thing I wanted to. Like isn't his gas kind of up and down? Because I remember he looked fatigued when he went against Tony Ferguson. You know what I mean? Like that all accounts for a lot.
No, it accounts for a lot. I don't know if he's ever been. I don't know if he had Cage Wars fights that were 5 rounds. You know, but
That's why I can't remember that far back.
And my internet is shot right now. I can barely play anything on my iPad. Yeah, I know he had title fights, but I don't recall if any of them were 5 rounds or even went 5 rounds. Yeah, I don't know. That's another one. This is it. This is it for Gagey. You know what I mean? This is do or die. And he's just by the fact that he's coming towards the end of his career, there's not going to be a lot of title shots.
To think that.
We've seen. I know. It goes by very, very quick. But you hope,
especially him, man. I mean, when I think about his career, that's why I'm such a fan of his. I mean, watching his come up the World Series of Fighting and being at his fights and stuff like that, I'm just like, man, you want to feel old. It's like seeing it's like seeing some kid that you saw. Like when I see my buddies' kids are full grown men now, I'm just like, that's the feeling I get with when we talk about Gaethje retiring. I'm like, come on, I feel like he just got there.
The time goes fast, and I feel like COVID time warped us a couple of years where we were kind of robbed of some time too. That it seems like it's lost in space, but that's it. Yeah, so the fights this weekend. Follow us on Combat Hour at Combat Hour on Twitter, Coast-to-Coast Combat Hour on Instagram. Follow me at FightFanHawk on Twitter, MMAHawk21 on Instagram. Follow Ed at Carbizol on Twitter, Carbeerzol on Instagram, and Old Ed Carb on Twitch. Check out author Edward Carbajal on Amazon and pick up his books, The Father of Evil and Brushfire.
See you next week.
Enjoy the fight. See you next week. Good night, everyone.